Hi guys, hold on for a second. Before we proceed to the video, I have something very important to tell you. Professor Jon V Kofas has published his new book in collaboration with Little French Media, and the title of the book is Neoliberalism, Inequality, and Authoritarianism. This book details how neoliberalism impacts the geopolitical economy in the 21st century. You can buy it from Amazon, and the link is in the description. Thank you. Now let's proceed to the video.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I would like to introduce a session which I did some time ago on narcissism in the age of neoliberalism. Obviously, narcissism is an ancient concept. It's part of a beautiful ancient Greek myth, perhaps 3,000 years ago or so, of a mythological character, a young man who was the product of a nymph, a spirit of the forest, and the river deity, and was a hunter, was roaming the forests, and was rejecting the affection of others. There was a nymph who was interested in him, and he rejected her. The gods, this was the era of paganism, of course, as all of you are aware. The gods, there was no monotheism back then. The gods cursed him, and especially a specific female deity cursed him not to know love, which of another person. And he was at the river, and he went to drink water and saw his face in the water, his reflection, and he fell in love with himself. Um, but he then wanted to feel it and to touch, and he went to grab that, and it was just water. There was nothing there. It was just an image. And he roamed into the forest, never knowing love. Um, this became very popular during the Roman era with the great Latin poet Ovid, who gave new magnitude to this story. And of course, the story of the mythological mythological narcissism, and Narcicos, okay, Narcicos, was became very popular in literature, in theater, in music, in poetry. Now, it is also the domain of academic studies, obviously psychology, because in the extreme form, narcissism, self-love, self-absorption, self-obsession, to the exclusion of others, lack of empathy, denial of the communal setting, and atomism, another ancient Greek word which means self-centeredness, selfishness. That is a domain of psychology, because there is a segment of the population that, in the extreme form, suffers from. Um, it's a clinical. It's a clinical condition. All people have, and they should, some measure of self-love. The opposite, of course, is self-hatred, and that's not constructive. That's hardly a good thing. It is, but however, we're talking about degrees now. Narcissism became celebrated. Atomism was celebrated in the era of the last almost 50 years or so of neoliberalism. Most graphically, I should say, given their lifestyle, characterized by the yuppie culture, the selfie me culture, as some scholars who have analyzed it have labeled it, of the 1980s, 1990s. And of course, the lingering effects are true today because this is passed on. Young people grow up under this culture and are impacted, their young minds are impacted by the culture of narcissism. Now, what does this mean when the hegemonic culture, as Antonio Gramsci, the great Italian thinker, noted in uh, constructing the theory of the hegemonic culture, the dominant culture in society, which influences subcultures, when that is so pervasive that it impacts the masses, the masses behave accordingly. And they begin to reject the collective, the communal. So communitarian values are set aside. And that is the goal of the neoliberal model, the neoliberal political model. And that is to reject collective and communal values and to accept a culture of atomism, because this is exactly what serves the goals of neoliberals who apologists who advocate that the individual is not the collective, not society. In fact, Margaret Thatcher even rejected such a concept as society and social interest and social welfare. So you have basically people who are um, very fanatical against anything that has to do with community. Now, human beings, as of course the great ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle pointed out, are social animals. They don't live up in a mountain all by themselves with wild animals. They live with other human beings. This means that they are inexorably an integral part of society. It also means that interaction, harmonious and constructive, not atomistic, based on me, versus the interests of society and against those interests, is what should drive the behavior and at the individual level and at the government level. Of course, what we have are policies intended to set aside social empathy and social development and social justice. And that's what this session that I invite you, by the way, to look at the video, the longer video, which in which I analyze the impact of narcissism in social policy. Everything from domestic policies, for example, school lunches, something as simple as school lunches, cutting school lunch budgets for children who are poor, and setting that money aside for a corporate subsidy to build a stadium, to subsidize a stadium of a billionaire. Okay, so that billionaire can make more money. And this is public money, by the way, used for that instead of feeding children who are poor. So you see, in its extreme form, this policy, and it's in reality, by the way, this is not theoretical, by the way, this is not theoretical. This has happened, this has been happening. Another form of this, of course, is the lack of empathy and turning into animosity when it comes to foreign affairs and demonizing other societies so that warfare can be more readily accepted by the public, when in fact public policy is decided not by the public but by the elites who stand to profit. I invite you to take a look at this video on narcissism and neoliberalism. Ask questions, write comments, and by all means, join this channel. It's Asad Alim manages this channel. He does an excellent job with educational issues, and I thank you for watching.